Hi everyone. Happy Halloween and happy Brown Bag Day. Kelly, you can still see the slide, right?
Yeah, I can still see
Okay.
this.
Okay, cool. Hope everyone is having a good first few hours of Halloween. I'm wearing my festive shirt. Um, and welcome to our discussion. We're here with Kelly Bennett, who is a DPAC champion and also a champion core member, who recently just told me casually that her islet cell transplant was going well. And I was like, what? You have to tell me more. So we hopped on a call and fast forward a few weeks, we're all waiting here eagerly to learn more. So for a bit of background, there's a lot changing in the world of diabetes right now. One of the most exciting frontiers is cell and gene therapy, which is quickly emerging as a promising area of research and innovation. And today we're super thrilled to learn more about Kelly's experience and what this science could mean for the future of diabetes care. So we'll try to take questions as they come in, but I already have so many questions that I think cover most bases, but we will keep an eye on the Q&A. And of course, if you have a burning question that didn't get addressed by the end of the call, email DPAC, and you can find our socials right here on this slide on the bottom corner. And I will get back to you as soon as I can. So this will also be streamed. This is currently being live streamed to Facebook. It will be put on our YouTube Diabetes Patient Advocacy Coalition YouTube channel, and it will be on our website as well. So you can view this remotely, asynchronously. Okay. Um, and Kelly, I'm gonna just go ahead and get started and stop sharing this so that we
Okay,
can
great.
see. And so can you start by sharing a bit about your journey with type 1 diabetes, how long you've lived with it, and what life looked like before your transplant?
So I was diagnosed February 13th, 1978. So I've had it a really long time. When you started with the urine sticks and had to take your blood sugar that way, and that was always 400 or 4 hours behind what your blood sugar was in the present moment. So it was a really difficult way to gauge and manage type 1 diabetes. And looking back, I realized I had hypoglycemia unawareness pretty much from the start. So there were times, especially at night, that I wouldn't recognize it. My mom would get up at 2 a.m. every night to test my blood sugar. 1980 glucometer came out, the glucometer. And so I switched to that. And parents out there, you guys do so much. I mean, so much to keep your little ones healthy and thriving. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really different from how it is lately. I can't believe that like technology has progressed so quickly in such a short amount of time. Um, so for those who may not be familiar, can you explain in simple terms what an islet cell transplant is and how it works?
So an islet cell is your islet of Langer's. It does a lot of things and it houses your beta cells. And your beta cells are what produce insulin. One thing that they have found out, I believe it was 2015, is that um, researchers came upon pancreases that were available for dissection and they found islet cells in them. So they hide from the Treg cells that go to attack your beta cells so that they no longer function. So I found that really interesting. And through, so simple terms, islet of Langer's houses your beta cells, which produce insulin for you, is the short, happy version. But I did find that article about we still have some of our own beta cells. So I mean, that's a future study, figuring out how do we utilize our own remaining beta cells that we have.
Mhm. So how exactly does the transplant work? Like what are they transplanting the cells from?
So they transplant the islet cells from a deceased donor.
Okay.
So there are some companies working on producing through gene editing A beta cells, type B beta cells, and I believe they're working on type O beta cells now. So that's advancing research in another area. Um, and there's another company doing that kind of research. So tons of research opportunities. With the one that I did, it was a clinical trial through City of Hope, and I found that trial through a friend. So a friend, or actually just a random person, reached out to me. We lived in the same area, and she said, "Hey, I get the feeling you're on the look for a cure, but it's really a treatment modality." And we kind of banded together to find different research opportunities. And she had found this opportunity and then shared it with me, and I applied for it.
Oh, cool.
Yes,
Okay. So, and you live in Phoenix, right? And City of Hope is in Pasadena in LA, right?
right. So it's in Duarte, California, which is right next to
Okay. So,
Monrovia and Pasadena. So it's pretty close to those areas. If you remember the big fires in LA, it was one of the areas affected in the mountain region. So they took in tons of people from other hospitals.
um,
So they're an excellent hospital. They have a very small diabetes research section. So, and they were
mhm.
actually the ones who broke the code for human insulin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
When do you know when that was?
that would have been, I don't know the precise date, but I think it
That's not.
was, I mean, I think it was in the 90s, because the earlier 90s, because my original pediatric doctor who held me until I was in my 30s, he had participated in that, and he actually gave the first human insulin injection.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you said you learned about the opportunity through a friend. Or was it that the friend knew, or is that you together researched opportunities?
So together we researched opportunities. I researched a lot of Denise Fossman's research with the tuberculosis vaccine, the BCG vaccine, as the type 1 community generally refers to it. So I researched that and worked myself to the grind to try to find a doctor who would just give me the vial. Um, so I did that part of the research, and then she was researching through the clinicaltrials.gov and just
Um,
contacting everyone. So that's one thing you do have to do if you want in a clinical trial, is you just have to keep trying. So you will get denied from some, and you just keep going until someone says yes.
so I assume then that you got denied from some. Who qualifies and what made you qualify for this trial?
So for this trial, the main thing that made me qualify was that I was hypoglycemia unawareness. especially
Okay.
at night. My Dexcom would be blaring for over 2 hours while I'm pretty critically low, where it either says low or it's in the 40s. So I
Oh,
do have a cat who will wake me up at night if I am low. So
like
she's
the cat is trained to do that? Or
she does it.
oh.
Does it. So it took me a while to figure out. And I was just like, oh, I think you're alerting me. And so she alerts by just walking all over me until I wake up.
That's cute.
Just cute.
So,
Sweet.
so hypoglycemia unawareness is defined by not feeling low when you are low.
So yes. And then a severe low blood sugar, which may not seem that low to us, is anything that is 54, 53 or below.
Mhm.
Um, I know that we work miracles and we can sometimes pretend to be okay when our blood sugar's low.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know we've all done that.
Yeah. I think there is definitely a tendency for us to like once we go low and correct it, we're like, all right, that's in the past. Move forward and like not really think about it. But it does really show that maybe we should be thinking about these lows more and maybe we should be telling our providers about these lows more because maybe if that's the criteria that helped you qualify for this study, then that would be good for us to, to emphasize as people with diabetes that like, it is an everyday thing for us, but that is a pretty severe thing that we're going through regularly and um, that maybe will motivate more research to happen.
Yeah.
Um, So what was the process like leading up to your transplant? Like the evaluation process? I'm sure you sent in an application, they called you, they talked to you, and then after that, like a waiting period maybe, and then the transplant itself.
Yeah. So he's actually called for a different study at first, and then that study took a pause.
Oh, okay.
And a
What was,
pause can mean things like one doctor left to go to another hospital and they have to hire somebody else. So it's not always necessarily something's going on that's off with the study. It can be
Mhm.
as simple as the doctor's on leave, yada, yada, yada. So with
Mhm.
that study, I was scheduled to do the procedure, and I don't remember exactly what the details of that were, but I had a trip to Hawaii planned with a group of friends, and they told me, go on the trip with your friends, like listen and wait. And then it went on a long pause. So then they shifted me to the current study that I did, which was the gastrin islet cell study. And gastrin is something that when you're in utero, your mom helps produce gastrin for you. And then that gastrin helps protect your organs when they're
Oh,
developing. So, like your pancreas, your liver, those kinds of organs, this gastrin is helping protect. And once you're born, it turns into gastric acid, which helps you with food digestion. So it's pretty interesting. City of Hope is the only hospital in the world that makes the gastrin like they do. Yeah.
so then like islet cell, like this islet cell study is under the umbrella of gastrin. Is that what that means?
So it just means that they're using gastrin, and the hope is that you only need one transplant.
Okay.
So they're trying to reduce the number of transplants needed because there are so many people who want that opportunity that
Mhm.
it would allow more people to be served.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, okay, so you ended up traveling from Phoenix to Duarte, and that was when that was after your trip. That was after your Hawaii trip, after you qualified for the second
right.
study. So what was that process like once you got there?
So they do a ton of blood work because they want to see what your blood work is to match with
Mm-hmm.
someone. So, and they go down to the fine details. So I don't even know all of this, the research that they were doing on that. I know that they're still researching me with different things. I've spoken to the director of the research department, and she's like, do not tell me your IRB number, which is the International Review Board number that everyone is assigned, and that is for confidentiality reasons.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And then, so for the actual process, is it just like a surgery, or is it like,
So it's
uh,
like a surgery. There's a lot of prep pre. So they give you a log to log all of your low blood sugars
oh, okay.
that are like 54 and below. So you're going to log all of those. So then it's important to like really review your Dexcom. So, because I know sometimes like when we're low, we get all brain fog
Mm-hmm.
and it can be difficult to remember. Although
Mm-hmm.
it's important to go and write down those times. They also have you do a food diary because they want to make sure you'll be compliant.
So
So,
is this while you're in the hospital leading up to the procedure
so you're,
or just,
it's mostly outpatient
okay.
until they call you for the procedure. But you're doing a lot of documentation. You're going out multiple times to the research facility, wherever that may be,
Mm-hmm.
to do blood work because your blood work changes all the time. So, and there'll be a point where you'll be listed onto the registry. There's a national registry for transplants.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they find a match for you, they will call you, and it's always approximately like they called me about 4 times total. And they would say, we think we have a match. The doctor's looking at the islet cells. If that
Oh,
doctor doesn't like the look of the islet cells, they're going to toss them. They're going to be
oh,
like, these aren't useful. They're not good quality.
oh,
So
okay.
when I got my final match, they called at about like 1:30 in the afternoon and told me I needed to be in California to be admitted by 4:30 a.m.
Oh my
So
God.
it's really fast. It took it took a long time for me to get a match. My
Mhm,
blood type's A negative, so it's not one of the more common
mhm,
blood types because of the RH negative in that.
mhm.
So I think it took around 6 or 7 months to get a match.
Oh,
Some
okay.
people found a match in as little as 3 weeks.
Oh,
So
wow.
during that waiting time, you're just kind of in limbo waiting.
Uh,
They tell you to have a go bag. So
oh,
that's
yeah.
ready to go. So it was taking so long. I emptied my go bag. which was a mistake because then I'm rushing to try to find everything that I need to go to California.
And how long were you there for?
So I was in the ICU, and they didn't know that I was sensitive to medication. So I need to take less to have the same effect as somebody else.
Mhm.
So it kind of, well, it takes, they put you through chemotherapy, 2 rounds of chemotherapy, one at the very beginning, and that is to get your blood sugar lowered, or not your blood sugar,
Oh,
your immune system lowered, so you'll accept the islet cells that are coming.
oh,
Um, and in this particular study, they give you a dose of gastrin, and then they'll also give you a dose. I ended up with a second dose of gastrin, and that is to protect the islet cells when they are implanted.
oh, okay.
But because I was so sensitive to the initial it's like they do it through IV. It's like a chemotherapy kind of drug. I forgot which one it was. I didn't do well on that one.
Okay.
So those white blood cells tanked, and that caused a pretty big issue
Okay.
leading up. So they added a, a large team of or pharmacists on my case, figuring out, well, what's going to be the right dose for her. And
Mm.
so they were really working with the doctors very closely to figure that out. Um, the white blood cells went down so low that the nurses in ICU wore that PPE things. They didn't wear the total mask that they might have during COVID. Mm. They just didn't want me to get sick from any of the other patients that they may have been in contact with on the ICU. So it was really a protective measure for me. I was there 11 days, mainly due to that, finding out that I'm super sensitive to medication.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess they wouldn't know until they're trying things on you. That makes sense. So what did your recovery look like? Like immediately after and then also long term after?
So immediately after, it was a little bit rough because when you're in bed more than 4 days, you start getting some muscle atrophy.
Mhm.
They had ordered physical therapy while I was in the hospital. So I did that. And then after I got out, there's a hospital hotel. So I stayed on the hospital grounds at the hotel. And that's if I ever needed something, I was very close to them so they could monitor me better.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so then I had different friends staying with me during that time. The recommendation is to have 3 or 4 different friends available that will come and stay with you, and they'll stay a couple of days or they'll stay a week, but you're not allowed to be alone.
Oh,
Is in the on-site hotel for around a little over 3 weeks.
what is the reason that you're not allowed to be alone? Are your friends specifically
They
looking out?
So if there's any issues and you're not able to deal with them on your own, then they want somebody around who can take you. And they
Uh,
don't really they don't really want you doing a whole lot of things afterwards. They don't
mhm.
want you cleaning. They really want you just to kind of pamper yourself,
Okay.
go out for walks. So you've got a friend with you to go out for a walk.
Mhm.
Um, And some people do amazing after. So it really just depends on who you are and how you're going to react. Some people got the transplant and it was like no big deal for
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
So I
Um,
was the worst case scenario,
oh, really?
but also really good case scenario.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that you were like worst case scenario that, and I mean, it still clearly worked for you. We have a
Yeah.
question in the comments. Someone says, sounds expensive. Were you prepared for the multiple expenses?
So the one thing I wasn't prepared for was all of the hotel stays.
Mhm.
So if you have a friend that lives out there, ask if you can stay with them for sure. And that would go if you went on, clinicaltrials.gov and found other research, it would go for that too, like wherever that is. But with this
Okay.
study, I mean, there are people all over the country. So you just have
Mhm.
to live in one of the US states. So it can be Alaska, Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter where your location is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for the actual procedures, how how
Um,
expensive was that?
so that it's a research study. So remember that you're not responsible for that. That was total about $500,000. So 500,000.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that.
and ironically, they billed my insurance company and my insurance company paid for it.
Oh, but
And I was like, oh, um, so that was exciting. But then they had to fix the billing issue because, the insurance company wasn't responsible because it was through research.
that makes sense. Um, okay. Um, Sorry, we had another question. It's now that I'm looking at it. Where was the procedure done again? Duarte, City of Hope, right?
Yes, it was done in Duarte at City of Hope. Um, yeah, it's a really cute area. So there are lots of things that you can do while you're recovering that get you out in nature.
Okay, and that's in the Los Angeles area. Um, and then the second part of the question is, Kelly, do you know if there are plans to expand access to this to people who don't have hypoglycemia unawareness?
So there are different research out there. So definitely go and see what you qualify and just start applying to any of the research. And what I found was once I got on one research to give me a call, others started giving me a call back too. So it's
Oh,
really
okay.
just determination
Mhm.
and looking for that. I know one of the upcoming studies that they are doing at City of Hope, which I think is pretty exciting, is they are researching a kidney islet cell transplant. So you would be have your kidney transplant wherever you're located if your kidneys are failing. And then they would do that procedure and they'd send that same pancreas out of the same deceased person to City of Hope. City of Hope would then extract the islet cells once you've healed from the kidney transplant, then they would implant the islet cells.
Wow. Okay, that's
And
interesting.
there's, yeah, it is. They're also doing other research. I don't know all of the research that
Mhm.
they're doing, but I know they're expanding the research. They're expanding the research to other locations around the country as well. So hopefully it will be spread to more people to have more access throughout the country. One of the things that I'm wanting to do and need to raise money for is a foundation that would help people with type 1 who may qualify for a study, but then aren't able to afford the hotel stays to
Mhm.
be there. So
Yes.
I'd like to get, a organization going so that it can take care of our travel arrangements, which gives
Mhm.
more people the opportunity, because it can be challenging to be out of work and
Mhm.
not have that financial stability to be able to take off work
Yeah.
for a
Yeah,
bit.
it sounds like there are so many factors at play. So some of the questions in the chat are also a good segue to my next question, which is many people assume that transplant means cure. So can you talk about what life actually looks like now? Are you taking insulin? When did you get the procedure done, and how long has it been? And how is your day-to-day look, or what does your day-to-day look like now?
So I received the transplant September 11th, 2023, and I was off insulin within a week. It probably would have been sooner, but I was receiving steroids as well after the transplant, which is known for raising blood sugars.
Mhm.
So that's where I was the best result that they'd
Mhm.
had as far as that I went off insulin the fastest. And then, right, so you come in to the procedure room. Um, my night nurse came in with me because it took them, I arrived at 4:30 in the morning, and it wasn't until 8:30 in the evening I was able to get the transplant. So on the ICU, my night nurse went with me down to the surgical room, and she was absolutely thrilled. It was great to see her excitement. And then the room was filled with people. So I would say there were minimum 20, 30 people in the room. And then
Mhm.
once they transferred me to the surgical table, they asked me, what kind of music do you want played for you? Which was great. And everyone was incredibly kind. And they were watching on a screen to see those islet cells deposit into the liver. They put them in the liver because they feel like that's the safest place for them.
Mhm.
So as soon as they went in and hit the liver, it was just a room full of cheers and clapping. And it was like NASA when you would see something launch and then they'd show you the control room and everyone was cheering and high-fiving each other and all of those kinds of things. So it was surreal.
That's
Um,
amazing.
it
I
is
got chills
amazing.
just listening to that.
It is amazing. And then my two main doctors, the nephrologist and the endocrinologist, who were doing the study together, are they wheeled me back to my ICU room. So my research nurse told me as they were wheeling me in that there were nurses crying, just
Wow.
seeing two doctors walking with the ICU nurse back to,
Mhm.
and they put my bed in place, and you're in a room. You go in a special room because you've just had a transplant and those white blood cells are pretty low.
Mhm.
Um, so they put you in a room that's all all of the air conditioning, everything like that is just for that one room to
Mhm.
prevent any kind of contamination coming in through any of the air conditioning, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
Um,
was there a couple days and then they moved me into a regular room.
that's amazing. Aaron from Deepak just asked a question that I actually was just thinking. Aaron is definitely going to ask this question. What music did you ask them to put on when you were beginning to go in your surgery?
Well, I really like alternative music, and so I just requested a specific channel um, that I got off like Sirius XM, just the alternative channel, one of those. And I had a really hip surgical tech, and she's like, "All right, I found it."
That's funny. Well, it's nice that I mean, that's a really great experience. It's like best case scenario. So now are you still being monitored? And are you taking immunosuppressants?
So I'm being monitored for long-term study.
Okay.
Um, and they monitor you for a year and you go out and you do various kinds of tests. As type 1 people, we don't say, like, when you're pregnant, we don't have to do the glucose tolerance test when you
Hmm.
drink that drink, but throughout the study, you do that.
Oh, okay. So that's
And
like they give you some kind of sugar and then they monitor you to see how your body reacts.
right, they give you that one, and then they also give you dextrose, which we would use if we went severely, severely low.
Okay.
See how quickly the blood sugar comes up after that. So during my initial visit in the hospital right after transplant, I found out later that I did lose some of the islet cells.
Okay.
And then I got a very acute UTI and I lost some islet cells there as
Oh,
well. So once it turned super hot in Phoenix, I ended up back on insulin this July.
oh, okay. So just a couple months ago.
Right. And I take about half what I used to take.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of protective factors. I don't go low very often, but sometimes I still do.
Okay.
So it's been much, much better. They will do a second transplant for me.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
eventually they'll do that.
Oh, okay. So that, yeah, I think someone in the chat asked that too. So that's just, they're holding off on it now, but eventually they're anticipating that they will have to do a second transplant. Okay. And you're
And
not on immunosuppressants?
I'm on, yeah.
Oh, you
So
are.
I have a medication. So I am on tacrolimus and sirolimus. So, and it's sirolimus, they've found increases longevity. So I'm like, well, that's great. And then one
Like
that,
just in general, longevity in general.
yeah,
Oh, that's
longevity.
great.
Well, this is good. And then one that they call MMF, but it's actually CellCept. And those I will be on forever.
Okay. And do
So
you have any side effects from them?
you can have side effects from them. In Arizona, my blood sugar really is affected by the weather.
Hmm.
And for me, once it turns hot, I need more insulin. And
Okay.
it's just starting to really show that it's cooling off. So I'm noticing I need much less insulin.
Oh, okay. Now that it's getting colder. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's different for everybody. Some people, if it's too cold, then they get the opposite. Other people like it
Yeah.
better if you face them.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Everyone has something random going on with their blood sugar.
So, yeah, we're all very, very different, but it is important to take them as scheduled because you can get off pretty easily if you
Mhm.
don't. Um, that first year, you're going to be logging all the medications that you take.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm trying to address all the questions as we're talking about it. Um, so you are on medications on a day-to-day basis, and you just went back on insulin in July, due to just like your personal triggers for high blood sugar, and so you are on insulin again. And would you said you would undergo a second transplant surgery, right?
1,000% because type 1 diabetes is awful.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how significant it impacted your life
Mhm.
until I wasn't taking insulin anymore. And it was really difficult to break the habit of constantly looking at your phone to see what your blood sugar is.
Yeah. Oh my God. So on that note, has been the most surprising part of your recovery journey, physically or mentally?
So, what I noticed almost immediately is that my anxiety went down a lot. So, because we get decision fatigue,
Hmm.
because we're constantly having to make decision based upon our blood sugar.
Hmm.
Um, and I know before I was always looking at my phone, and it was to the point that people would say, "Are you paying attention to me?" It's like,
Yeah.
I am, but I'm also managing my pancreas.
Yes, yeah. We're quite good at that, that dual that ability to multitask.
So there is a significant difference, very significant. I ate more like a type 2 would eat, so I continued our normal eating pattern.
Hmm.
Um,
Like you ate more carbs, like
like there were certain carbs I couldn't
wait, no,
eat.
sorry, you ate less carbs, sorry.
So I tried to eat less carbs, but I
Yes.
found out I could have marshmallows if they were toasted. They did nothing to my blood sugar.
That's
So,
really interesting. And now I'm curious about that as a person with type 1 diabetes.
yeah.
But there's something to that because, when you like freeze fruits, it changes their like the way the effect that they have on your blood sugar, or if you like refrigerate rice or bread. So that actually checks out.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And I was able to eat a little bit more candy. So it was kind of figuring out what candy can I eat and what candy can I not.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that was fun to figure out, oh my gosh, this doesn't affect my blood sugar.
So did they have you eat more like less carb, or is that just something that you naturally felt inclined to do?
They had me do that. There's a restaurant at the hotel, which is amazing, although it's very high in carb.
Okay.
So it's not a great place to eat. Um, but they do have rooms with a kitchenette if you're staying more than a couple of days.
Okay. I
Yeah.
remember when we talked, you mentioned that other people noticed things about you after you no longer were on insulin. That really sunk in with me personally.
So one of the people that I worked with who owned the company that I worked, she told me, Kelly, you're smarter. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Thank you. The other people said your face looks healthier
Oh,
and brighter. So that one surprised me as well. And I wasn't as tired as what
mhm.
you are when you're taking insulin.
Yeah.
So
So you experience now less anxiety, more intelligence, more glow. Like that
yeah,
actually is like that's happy and sad for me as a type 1 diabetic to hear.
yeah.
Um,
So I mean, just comments that were, I mean, to me, they were a little weird in a
that is what,
sense
yeah.
because of what they were saying, but that's what they noticed.
hmm
So,
One question is, someone's curious to know a little bit more about the carbs. So your medical team had you eat less carbs post-transplant. Is that because there's a limit to what the transplanted cells can handle, or was that because they were just monitoring, or what was the reason?
so mainly it was to give the islet cells a break so that they don't
Okay.
have to work as hard after initial transplant.
Okay.
Um, One thing I did realize that I can eat and I can still eat are potatoes.
Oh,
So those used to always spike my blood sugar. So it's also figuring out, what different kinds of carbohydrates that are plant-based that you can eat that
yeah,
perhaps
that's
wouldn't
interesting
be good.
because yeah, now like your body isn't operating on the same set of rules that it was when you had diabetes. You have different cells now, so it's kind of relearning your body. That makes sense.
Well, it
Um,
is completely relearning your body because, and
mhm.
people would ask me questions and I'm like, well, I don't know because I have never lived in this body to my memory.
Yeah, yeah, it's a new a new body
Like
essentially.
I got a new body and I'm learning things every day about it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you still need to be low carb now, like even 2 years after this procedure?
So right now it's really important to be low carb to be able to get that second transplant.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Um, so is there anything you wish you knew before you started down this path?
Um, I mean, I got to the point I was just sick of type 1
Mhm,
and I was researching anything and I would have taken anything
mhm.
just for the opportunity to not have to take insulin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, some of the things I didn't realize was how my body would react after the transplant.
Mhm.
But I was transplant patient 8, and
Wow.
none of the other 7 before me had the kind of reactions that I had, so they didn't know what they didn't know.
Yeah.
And the way that I reacted to some of the medication, like the gastrin, um, they didn't, nobody else had reacted in the way that I did.
Wow. That's scary, but I mean, you're literally a trailblazer for that.
Yeah, so it's offering them new information, and
Yeah.
the hope is that it will help more of us
Hmm.
become eligible for these kinds of studies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you don't really so you are on immunosuppressants long term, but the side effects aren't that significant. One is increased longevity.
Right. So you can't go wrong with that one. Um, like occasionally you'll have a shift in those, but you're monitored by a nephrologist.
Oh, okay.
So, Um, in the state of Arizona, my research nurse was not able to find a nephrologist who would take me.
Oh,
And
what do you know why that is?
I was just out of their scope of
Uh,
where they felt like, because they were really comfortable with a, kidney pancreas transplant. And even when I had a gallbladder taken out during the study, I went to Mayo Clinic
mhm.
Hospital, and they didn't think they were still doing islet cell transplants. They're like, we thought they stopped that in the 90s. So um, they're not as up to date here
Mhm.
as they are in other places. There is the City of Hope here. The doctor, the main chief of staff at that City of Hope in Goodyear, Arizona,
Mhm.
they were the ones that walked the cells to the radiologist. So radiologist is the one who implants them,
Okay.
which that's one of the things I had no idea, that radiologists did more than reading X-ray. I had no idea.
Yeah,
So
well,
that was an eye opener for me, the scope of their jobs that they do.
it's funny. So do you still wear a CGM?
I do still wear a CGM.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
mean, that makes sense. Okay.
yeah.
Um, so, okay, so how can advocates play a role in pushing for greater access or awareness of treatments like this?
So I I think by banding together to create the foundation to help people with the financial aspects that you don't think about.
Hmm.
So some people do better than others.
Hmm.
Uh, the other thing is that in the United States, an islet cell transplant is not considered an organ, even though if you look up an islet of Langer's and you find the picture of the islet of Langer's, it's going to show you all the different functions that this one cell does. So it
Hmm.
doesn't just have beta cells, it has many others as well.
Hmm.
So advocating that the islet of Langer's is a organ is really of great benefit. The state of Arizona will give transplant participants financial assistance,
Oh,
but
okay.
this wasn't considered an, an organ.
Oh, okay, that makes
So I
sense.
wasn't able to receive any of that. So I think and I've not heard of an organization that actually helps with hotel stays
Hmm.
and and assistance in that way, assistance in if somebody doesn't have people that can help them stay at the hotel, that
Hmm.
there are advocates that can help them, stay at the hotel or wherever the transplant is. Not all hospitals have that on-site hotel, but
Yeah.
you've got to have somebody stay with you after
Hmm.
the procedure.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I guess raising awareness of this and banding together as a community as advocates naturally do, I would think.
Yeah.
So how has this experience influenced the way that you see the future, both personally for yourself and for the entire diabetes community?
So, one thing that I learned was what cancer patients go through, which I
Hmm.
think was a big eye opener, even though I only had 2 sessions of that.
Hmm.
So it gave me greater perspective overall of people that have to have any kind of immunosuppressant therapy that involves chemotherapy.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, you know, hopefully the FDA will approve other kinds of islet cell transplants. Currently, there is an ICD-10 code for islet cell transplants.
Mhm.
If you're in a community where so the doctors are aware of islet cells and they do those things and they think that you're a good candidate, like I said, my insurance paid for that. And there was no out of pocket for that with the insurance I had at the time. So
Wow,
that'd be just as simple as checking your health insurance and
yeah.
then checking, do you live in a state that recognizes islet cell transplants, unlike Arizona, where they thought they ended in the 90s. So
Okay, so some states do recognize it as organ transplant then.
not in the United States,
Oh,
but
oh, okay.
it's like Canada,
Oh,
much of England or much of Europe does.
okay, so that's something where advocacy does need to happen across the US.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's- we changed that so that we can help more people. And moving forward, the goal is really to, if you're able to do the research, do it
Mhm.
because you're not just helping yourself, you're helping many, many other people.
Yeah. Yeah. This is really, I didn't even know that this was a possible procedure until you emailed me that day. And I was like, what's going on? So thank you so
So
much for sharing
you're
that.
welcome. I would like to share if you guys are interested in this particular study, you do have to have hypoglycemia and awareness and
Okay.
know where you experience it. Some people have car accidents, some people have to pull off to the side of the road. If you've ever eaten money because you thought you just needed to eat something, but you ended up eating your money. I did have a friend who did that.
Oh my God. Wait, I thought you were like saying like using
No,
an
he
ATM or
was
something.
not.
Like,
He ate his cash.
oh my God. Is he okay?
He's okay.
Did it work? Did it raise
Yeah.
his blood sugar?
And no, it did not raise the So you can also reach out to Islets, ISLETS at City of Hope, which is abbreviated COH.org. So ISLETS at COH.org.
Okay.
And it will take about 5 to 10 days for somebody to get back to you, but they will get back to you, ask you a series of questions. Remember, if you have hypoglycemia of any sort, tell them, and that
Okay.
will help you qualify for the study.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. And also, this session will be recorded and posted on YouTube, Facebook, and our website. So if you missed that, just check those places and you can find that email address again. Um, okay, well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. This was such a like eye-opening session. I know you and I had already talked once before, but even so, I'm like every time I talk to you, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Thank you for sharing your experience with all of these people and many more to come. And yeah,
Yeah.
so thank you so much.
Well,
And
thank you for having me. And it's important that people are up to date with what the research is out there.
yeah, absolutely. So I hope everyone has a great Halloween. When you're eating your candy, think of Kelly and the candy she can and can't eat currently and what it might be like if you had an islet cell transplant and had to relearn your body. I will be doing that myself. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.